All right, we are doing the chapter 1 review for a quiz tomorrow. So just a quick refresher, we're just simplifying expressions to start with. The first one is just some order of operations. So remember, we're doing addition, multiplication, division first, and left to right. So we can divide 20 and 5. That is not supposed to happen. All right, first. So 20 divided by 5, right, is 4. Then it's plus 4, okay? And we can also do some multiplication over here. So negative 5 times 9 is negative 45. And then we're adding going left to right. So it's 8 minus 45. And then that would be negative 37. Okay. You can also take your calculator. Okay. Oh, got a phone call. Hold on here, guys. All right, we're back. You can take your calculator. Okay. Open up a calculator page. And you can just type in what the question said. So it says, right, 20 divided by 5 plus 4 minus 5, and then we got times 9. Okay, just check to make sure this says what exactly it does here, and then we can hit enter, and it'll do the work for us. There's negative 37, right? So that's all we got to do. Okay, I'll continue to do both ways just so you can see it, but that's essentially all we're looking at there. All right, for number letter B, right, we're adding like terms, same. Now we're multiplying. Rules for multiplying, we multiply the coefficients, so the numbers in front. 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. And then we have 2 x's here and 3 here, we add the exponents. So that's x to the 5th. All right, y3 and y7 become 10. So 3 and 7 makes 10 when we add them. And we're going to get that guy. Negative 20 x to the 5th, y to the 10th. Second one, we're adding and combining like terms. So add the 7x and the 5x and the negative 3x. So that's 12 minus 3 is 9. And then I have my y's. So I have the negative 13y, the negative 7y, and the 20y. So this is negative 20 plus 20. That's just 0y, so that just drops out. So all this stuff becomes 0. All right. Order of operations, powers first, so exponents, PEMDAS, right? So 3 to the 4th is 3 times 3, 3 times 3 times 3, 3 times 3. Okay. So, right, 4 3s, and then it's 81. So you can always use your calculator if you need to. So this is 81 minus, and then we do 5 times 6 next, which is 30, and 81 minus 30 is 51. All right, and you can type it in just like you see it. So 3 to the 4th minus 5 times 6. Oops, careful. If you notice, all this stuff is actually in the exponent spot. So 3 to the 4th, all right, press the arrow to the right, and then minus 5 times 6. See how this is a little bit different? And that's 51. All right, next question we're adding again. So like terms, okay? So I get negative 12xz. Stop it. Okay? Negative 12xz, x squared z. Here's another x squared z. There's another x squared z. So I kind of add these together. So if you're doing this, right, this is going to be 45. And then we can do the minus 12. All right. And then this is going to give me 33 x squared z. All right. All right. For the next one, we're just dividing here. So going in the same order. So we're doing parentheses first, or sorry, exponents first. That's 25 plus. We can also do the division here to get 4. And then we're adding and subtracting. So 25 plus 4 is 29. And 29 minus 8 becomes 21. All right. Same thing here. We have parentheses first. So we're going to do parentheses, which is 5 minus 3 times 6, which is negative 3. And then plus, and then we have 4 divided by 2, so we can do this as well. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15, plus 2, and that's negative 13. Once again, I can use the calculator, okay? And we can do 16 divided by 4 plus 5 squared, okay? And then arrow over minus 8. So after you type it in, double check if it's the same thing. 16 by 4 plus 5 squared minus 8. And there's that one. Okay. And then for the second one, let's do, okay. So we have 5, then parentheses. We have 3 minus 6. I'm going to arrow over to the right so you can see the parentheses there. All right. And then we have plus 4, and then divided by 2. Divided by 2. Enter, and there's the answer there. Okay. Here's the next one for H. So 20 minus. We're going to do brackets. So we can just press the bracket button, which is going to be control, and then the bracket right there. Okay. So it's 8 minus 2 parentheses. All right. And then 1 plus 3. And then we can arrow all the way out and hit enter, and it should give us 20. Now you see there's a little marking here. Okay. It says scalars when multiplied by the identity matrix. So as long as we're getting this should be the same answer. So we'll take a look and we'll double check it. If you get something weird, you can just check it on your own too. But that's what that is talking about. So we're going in order. So we're doing parentheses first. So this is 4. So 20 minus 8 minus 2. This becomes 4. Okay. And then we're going to do 20 minus, okay, and this is 2 times 2, which is 8. So it's 8 minus 8, which turns into 0, and it's just 20 minus 0, and that's where the 20 comes from. All right, multiplicative inverse is negative 100. We said this in class. The word we're looking for here is reciprocal. So we're going to take that number, we're going to make a fraction, we're going to flip it upside down. So it's 1 over negative 100. All right. Additive inverse of any number is the opposite. So just change the sign. So negative 50. And then circle the sets of numbers which these numbers belong to. Now, if it's a number like a fraction, you want to kind of type it in and see what decimal you get. So for this one, right, this is going to be 2/3 essentially. So that's 0.66666 repeating, 0.6666 going on forever. The square root of 64, we want to reduce as 8, okay? And not negative, right? Square root of negative 48, it's negative first, okay? And then the square root of 48. Now I need to do a negative sign first. Hit enter, and I get that. If I did the square root of negative 48, you would see that I get an error message, non-real calculation. That means that we have a negative inside the square root, okay? So you can see that this is just about negative 6 point, I think it was 6.89. It's about 6.9, 6.92. So this is also a decimal that doesn't repeat, okay? And it goes on forever. So this is a whole number, right? That's rational. This is not also known as a perfect square. That's why it's rational. This number is not a perfect square, so it's going to come out irrational. All right. All the numbers we get, as long as they're on the number line, are real. Okay. If it's a negative square root, that would be an imaginary number. It's not a real number. So the natural numbers, remember, start at 1 and go up their whole non-decimal, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5.4, right? Not natural. Okay. It's not an integer. It's not a whole number. It is a real number, and it is rational because the decimal ends. This decimal right here is repeating. 8 over 12 is 0.66666. Eventually give me 7. 8 divided by 12 on the calculator. If I just hit enter, it's going to give me back 2/3. What I need to do is hit Control Enter to get the decimal. And there's my decimal. Okay. So this is rational. It is real. All right. But it is nothing else. Okay. Because it's a decimal. 0 is not a whole number, which means it's not an integer. It is natural, it is rational, and it is real. All right. Describe the difference between the natural, okay, integers and whole numbers. So for this one, we want to do, we'll start with the smallest one first. So the smallest one we have are the natural numbers, okay? So we're going to say the natural numbers are non-decimal numbers greater than 0. We could also say they're positive numbers, right? And they're bigger than 1, so they're non-decimal positive numbers, okay, greater than 0. If you want to say that, you can, okay? We're going to say now that the whole numbers, okay, we can say the same thing except greater than or equal to 0, or we can say the whole numbers are the natural numbers including 0. That's another way to look at it. Natural numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth, non-decimal, and we're including 0. And then we say the integers are the positive and negative whole numbers. If you want to define them like we did in class and say that the whole numbers are non-decimal numbers, right, that are greater than or equal to 0, you can do that. Integers are non-decimal positive and negative numbers, including 0. We could do that as well. All right, ordering numbers from least to greatest. The first thing I'm going to do is figure out what 1 2/3 is, right? And I know 2/3 is 0.6 repeating, so this is negative. This number is negative 1.6 repeating. Okay, 1.6666. This number is 1.6. This number is negative 1.8. Okay, so I can take my calculator if I want to, right? I can type in 4/5 and hit enter and get. Oh, sorry, don't do that. Right, up, pull it down, control enter, 0.8. Okay, and I can figure out what that is. I also want to know what the square root of 9.2 is. So control x squared, 9.2, and it's 3.033. So I need to order them from least to greatest. So the smallest number is the one that is the biggest negative number. That's negative 1.8. Okay, and the number line is furthest to the left. Then the next negative number is negative 1.6 repeating, or 1 2/3. Okay, so actually, if I'm doing this, I actually want to list the numbers that they gave me. So this is negative 1, 1 4/5. Okay, negative 1 2/3. All right. By the way, I is 3.141, and so on and so forth. So we can see where that lies. The next biggest number is 1.6, followed by the square root of 9.2, followed by pi. All right. And I will draw a box around that so you can see it better. There's the answer there. All right, for the second one, okay, you want to know what 7/9 is, so I take my calculator, 7/9, I do control enter, okay, and I get, we didn't do it, 7/9, control enter is 0.7 repeating, okay. All right, we know what 0.8 is, square root of 4.75, we want to do that one, so control square root 4. Okay, enter is 2.179. Negative 22/7. Control enter is negative. Oh, it did not do 22. And we didn't do a decimal. What is going on here? Negative 3.142. Okay. And we know pi is negative 3.141. So least to greatest. Okay. This was negative 0.7. So, or 0.7. So we're starting with the biggest, the smallest negative number, the biggest negative number, right? Which is negative 1.42. So it's negative 22/7, followed by negative pi. The next smallest number is 7/9, which is 0.7. Then it's 0.8. And then it's the square root of 4.75, which is 2.791. All right. What is the value of x in the equation? Really, this is a multiple choice question. So what you could do is take these answers and just plug it in for x. What we want to do really is get, you won't have this question on your quiz, but what we really want to do is get common denominators here. So I want to turn this into a denominator of 6, which means I'm going to multiply the top number by 2 and the bottom by 2. So this is going to turn into 2x minus 4 plus 1 over 6, okay, equals 5 over 6. And now I can just drop the denominators. I can multiply the entire thing by 6 and the denominators will go away. All right, so these will all cancel out. I'll get 2x minus 4 plus 1 equals 5, and I will solve from here. So 2x minus 4 plus 1 is 2x minus 3. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. And I'm going to continue this right there. I'm going to get 2x is equal to 8. Divide by 2. And I get x is equal to 4. That won't be on your quiz, but just a challenge question. Simplify and leave the expressions in simplest form. So distribute the 5 for the first one. That's 10x minus 3. Remember, actually minus 15. Remember, when we're doing this simplest form, it means we're putting them in descending order, no more parentheses. Okay, negative 2 through is negative 14 plus 2a. And when descending order means we put the 2a first and the negative 14 second. Distributing the 1/2 in here, I get a negative 1/2 j plus 4. Descending order, we're good. And the 1/4 through, 1/4 of 24 is 6 minus 6y. And then if we put it in descending order, negative 6y should go first, and then positive 6. Write the Roman numeral of the sentence that best fits, okay? The additive identity is anything where we're adding and getting the same number back. So that would be the adding 0 part. We're adding 0 to it, okay? And getting the identical answer back that we started with, okay? So this guy is Roman numeral 2. The associative property of multiplication, remember associative means that the parentheses are going to move. All right, the numbers stay the same. So the x should be first, y should be second, z should be third. Okay, so that's choice number 1. You can see the parentheses are moving, the letters stay the same. Commutative, the terms move, parentheses do not. Terms move. Now, the parentheses might move with the stuff, okay? So for example, if I was going to turn this into commutative, okay, I would want to do y times z times x. That would be a commutative move. The parentheses haven't moved. They're still around the y and the z, but the terms, the first term and the last term, the y and the z and the x have switched, okay? So commutative property of addition, as I go through, because I'm not doing process elimination here, okay, is going to be choice 5b here, because these have the x and the z switching, the parentheses do not. Multiplicative identity, we're multiplying, get the same answer back, that is choice 7, so VII. Commutative property of multiplication, we're just moving things around, that is choice 4, VIV. Associative property of addition, we're moving the parentheses, okay, when we add, so that is choice 6. The substitution property, we're plugging something in for something else. That would be 3. The addition property of equality, when we're solving an equation, adding 3 to both sides. Solving an equation, adding 3 to both sides. Okay, so here you can see I would add 8 to both sides, or adding 3, or adding the same amount. So this is going to be choice number 8. And the subtraction property of equality, here I'd be subtracting 14 from both sides. That is the subtraction property of equality. So that is choice 9. All right, on to the next one. Simplify each expression. So we want to make sure with parentheses, we're distributing anything through, any numbers. If there's a minus sign here, we're putting a 1 down and we're distributing a -1 and changing the signs. Then we're going to look for like terms, okay? Combine the terms and put it in standard form. So this is just 2p plus 4. This becomes, when I distribute 5p minus 5, and the -1 becomes -1p, and then -7. I'm going to look for like terms. So I have the 2p, the 5p, and the negative p, okay? And then I have the 4, the negative 5, and the negative 7. All right, so the p's first, 2p is 7p, minus 1 is 6p, and then I have 4 minus 5 is negative 1, minus 7 is minus 8. And that would be the simplest form there. And it's also in standard form because the highest exponent of 1. The next one, we're going to distribute first. So this is 8x cubed plus 5x minus 3x cubed plus 6. We're looking for like terms. I got the cubes. I got this guy by itself and that guy by itself. So 8x cubed minus 3x cubed is 5x cubed. I don't have any x squareds, so I don't have to worry about them. I have a plus 5x and I have a plus 6. Standard form and descending order. No more like terms. We're good to go. Okay, for number 9, we're just going to plug in and solve. So we're plugging in negative 5 for t and 2 for s. So it's 5 times negative 5 over 2 times 2 minus 9 plus s, which is 2. And I'm going to combine like terms now. So I get negative 25 on the top over 4 minus 9 plus 2. I know 4 minus 9 is 5, and I wrote that down. Should not be there. So that should be 4 minus 9 plus 2. All right, so that equals negative 25 over negative 5 plus 2. So negative 25 divided by negative 5 is 5, plus 2 is equal to 7. So this whole thing is equal to 7. Same thing we did before. I take my calculator. Okay. I make this bigger. Let's try that. All right. So I'm going to do control divide for a fraction bar. And I'm going to do plug in. So 5 parentheses negative, not minus, but negative 5. Oh, we didn't do it. Parentheses. What are you doing up here? Okay. Negative 5 over is 2 parentheses 2 arrow to the right minus 9, and then outside the parentheses we'll arrow over and then plus 2, and you can see there's our answer. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing here. So plug in 3. Instead of t, we put negative 5 in parentheses with a squared, and then we do minus 2, or the square root I should say, 2 times 2. So notice when I'm plugging in, I'm using parentheses, so it keeps track of my signs. And also, when I square this, you're going to notice if I do 3, okay, times negative 5 squared without parentheses, the calculator is treating that as a negative number, okay? However, if we take this and put parentheses around it, okay, parentheses around it, so parentheses around it, and hit enter, now it's treating this as a positive number, negative 5 times negative 5. This is saying 5 times 5 squared, and then leave the negative with it. So just be careful. Okay, so this is 3 times 25 minus the square root of 4. So this is 75 minus the square root of 4 is 2, and this is equal to 73. And I'm going to go back and put equal signs for every line in my equation, and we're good to go. For each polynomial, describe the following. So name the polynomial. This has 2 terms. So this guy, okay, A, is a binomial. The number of terms is 2. The degree, take the term of the highest, the first term. What's the exponent there? It's 9. This has a 9th degree. Okay. If there was another letter there, we'd have to add the exponents. The leading coefficient, okay, is 3, and the constant term is 4. All right. We're going to go over to number 3. I'm just going to paste it here, but we're going to type right over it. This has 3 terms, so it is a trinomial. Okay. 3 terms. It has two variables with a exponent of 3 and 2, so we add them together, and this becomes a fifth degree. Okay. The leading coefficient, the number in front of the first term is a 4, and the constant, there isn't one. Okay. Technically, there is. It's a 0, because technically I could put a plus 0 on the end of this. Okay, because the constant term is 0. All right. Number 2. Oh, let's do this. Boom. All right. So this is a trinomial because it's got 3 terms separated by plus or minus signs. Okay. The degree or the how many terms? It's 3. The exponent on the first term, the exponents all add to 4, so it's 4th degree. The leading coefficient is 9, and the variable or the constant on the end is positive 3. And for number 4, it is also a trinomial. Okay. 3 terms. Exponents added together makes 7, so 7th degree. The leading coefficient is 9, and the constant term is, there isn't one again, so it is 0 because we could put a plus 0 on the end. And that, people, is it. I hope you guys have a great night. All right, and we will see you tomorrow.